Hello, everyone. This is Dragin. I welcome you back to the Nexus of Realms. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy 2026. Somehow we made it through that very mixed and awkward year. For those of you that are unaware, this is a re-recording of a discussion we had on Wednesday due to an audio issue I had that kind of ruined the entire segment. So, without any other hope of recovering it, I just decided to proceed. Basically what happened is I bought some... For Christmas, I got a pair of earbuds for my PC. My intention behind this was to be able to record without picking up the speakers that I was using on my computer before, so that was kind of the direction I was going with this. Unfortunately, what I didn't know is these earbuds had microphones on them. And for some reason, when I hooked them up for the first time, my computer swapped over to the microphone on the earbuds. And if anybody knows anything about earbud microphones, they are very terrible. So as a result, the entire segment kind of got distorted so badly I couldn't fix it. So I just destroyed the whole thing and decided we'd do it again tonight. So here we are. Anyway, with that being said, I do want to just spend a little bit of time reminiscing over the last year. As you guys may or may not be aware, based on how much you've looked at my stuff before, I've had a very mixed 2025 in general. Most of these stuff having to do with stuff taking place outside of my streams, mostly involving real-life stuff for the most part. As some of you know, I lost 2 pets. I lost my cat Mia in December of 2025, as well as I lost my bearded dragon Terra towards the end of November. In addition, I'm suffering from a number of chronic health issues, which kind of explains sometimes my sporadic schedule with the stream. And my work, my real life work, has been extremely difficult for the last year or so. So it's all kind of come about to be a rather rough end. However, on the streaming end of things, I would say I'm happy with how things have come across. So before we proceed, I just want to talk about a few of those things that I feel like I've accomplished this year. I got a handy dandy list to help me do it. What can I say? I work in IT. I'm used to making presentations and lists, so we're just gonna go with this, even if it's a little strange for a streaming platform, I suppose. So the biggest thing that happened was the restarting of the stream after my original hiatus. As back in when we were streaming patch 7.0 and trying to get through the raid tier, I took a break after the M4S clear. This was for a number of reasons. Sad to say, I kind of fell into the trap that a lot of streamers at my level tend to fall into. Us on kind of the Z-lister end, where we don't have huge audiences or things like that. I allowed myself to get too caught up in the numbers, too much attention on the fact that I wasn't growing, the fact that nothing seemed to be happening, that I was putting a whole bunch of work and getting nothing in return on it. And it sort of put me in a rough mindset for a few months with it, so that's why I initially took that break on it. During that time, however, leading up to patch 7.2, when we started doing the M5 and above clears, I suddenly drifted down the rabbit hole of VTubers in general. For those of you who don't know, I became a VTuber in kind of a different capacity than I think a lot of people do. I became familiar with the technology first, and then over time, I was more interested in the format of the VTuber space rather than being that involved in the community or even watching very many VTubers myself. That changed in June of this year when I suddenly first fell down the rabbit hole with Henya the Genius's Mega Man playthrough, which led me onto a huge rabbit hole of the VSojo stuff as well as the tangential popular VTubers around that space. which led to a lot of reinvigoration on my part of wanting to keep going and to try again. So that's what kind of led to where we're at now. In terms of my actual progression, not much has changed, but I'm a little less bothered by it all. At least it's not as bad as it was. From the time I restarted in June through the end of the year, I increased my follower count from the 50s range to the 80s range during that time frame. So just to see that happening at all is a big thing for me. Some of the other accomplishments I made included I revamped my previously thrown together assets into more consistent branding. I've revamped all my my studio, my various intros, start screens, be right back screens, my ending screens. I've created mobile versions of all that stuff, and it's been slow, but I'm happy with a lot of it, and I continue to hope to expand upon that as we continue to go along. The addition of edited videos and clips to YouTube and TikTok platforms, which was a big change from what I was doing before. I've been doing more editing on videos and clips and uploading to more platforms than I did before. The editing I'm doing is pretty amateur at best. It's nothing to, write home about or anything, but it is something I have done. I feel like I'm getting better each time I do it. The earlier edited videos compared to what that I've started to do later has been a pretty good improvement, and I hope to keep kind of growing on that. I don't have any official training in video editing, so I've kind of had to learn through the ropes, simply because I don't have time to engage in a large number of lessons and things like that. So that's kind of the unfortunate thing here in this situation. So I'm learning as I go. I've added additional functionality to interactions through various additions of the throw feature and additional waypoint or channel point actions. This was kind of an important point for me to reach, and though I still don't have as many as I'd like, and I would like to accomplish more with that, I am happy to see those points, and that's strictly on Twitch right now because I don't have enough of functionality available on YouTube or any other platform to do much else right now. But I hope to continue to expand on that. The improvements to my models tracking and general functionality. This was kind of a big one because I've actually had this model for a couple of years now, and I never really bothered to actually see what it could do to try to improve the movement and the functionality and all that stuff that comes along with this. And though it's still not, there's still a lot I could do. It's going to just take me some more time and all that. And I also established dual stream functionality on YouTube, and though that's a relatively new thing now, I am happy that's working, and hopefully eventually we'll be able to do more on the YouTube side as well as everything else. So those are what I feel I've accomplished in 2025 on the streaming end of things. Now I want to talk about a little bit on what I want to do in 2026 specifically, and some of the stuff I'd like to see happen as I move forward here. To continue to improve the stream quality, more stream types, additional emotes and interaction features, continue asset improvement and updated functionalities. To kind of give you an idea what I mean here, is currently I have the main gameplay, the gaming streams, as well as the general, and just sort of the general conversation streams like this, which are not very common, unfortunately, just because of time restraints and things like that. I would like to do some more stream types, maybe a little few more reaction things, or maybe a little bit more in-depth discussions on some things I find interesting, or things of that nature. I'm still running a little bit low on the emote side of things. I feel like I need to add some more stuff there as well, especially since I don't have anything set up for the higher tiers of subscriptions beyond tier 1, which doesn't matter much right now, but eventually it might become something I need to be concerned with. That's another thing I need to do. And I want to continue to improve the assets in terms of features such as my various graphic interface. Like on the game side, I'm still using the same thrown together interface I kind of used before. And I sort of need to decide whether that's something that needs to be changed, or if there's something that works a little bit better. It's all stuff I'm kind of looking into in that regards. As well as I want to continue to update things such as the throw feature, point actions. I don't know if it's too early for me to be implementing any like bit-based rewards, but that might be something to consider as we move forward as well. Continue to increase follower range through multi-channel posting and interaction. I'm already doing that through YouTube and TikTok, as well as my continued activities on Twitch as well. I'd eventually like to extend into both Twitter and TikTok as far as the live streams are concerned eventually. The downside is, in order to multi-stream on those platforms, I need there are further requirements. I think on Twitter I have to actually pay for their premium service, which I have a few issues with doing. As well as TikTok requires you to have a certain amount of interaction beforehand. So a lot of these platforms are going to be focused more on the clips and things like that until I get to a point that I can do a little bit more with that. Continuing to focus on improving equipment in terms of both video quality, sound quality, and systems. So a lot of that has to do with my configuration, as I know my sound setup is not ideal. I've been running pretty heavily off of the speakers while using push-to-talk to sort of get around the fact that I can't stand traditional gaming headsets, so I don't really like them very much. They get really hot on my head and I just have a hard time using them, so these, like the earbuds I'm using now, are kind of one way I'm trying to address that. And I know there's some issues with my mic in terms of probably the noise reduction and configuration I have set on it is probably not the best either. So that's all going to be stuff I'm going to have to figure out. I also don't have any like sound mixing software or other things, and I still run into issues with the videos. Yeah, so I know there's still some issues with some of my video footage and things like that, just because I haven't been recording the footage. So when I've converted to YouTube things and shorts and things like that, they come out with some bitrate issues and things like that. I don't have like any sound mixing hardware or anything like that to help kind of add variety to that stuff, as well as my internet connection has a few issues that cause frame dropping in ways that I'm not usually expecting to see, but it can happen. So that's all stuff I'm looking into. It's all stuff I got to do over time. I have added some a ring light and some other stuff to help with the tracking issues, and I hope to eventually move over to the iPhone tracking to improve some of the tracking in that area as well. So there's a lot of stuff I'd like to do there eventually. Attempt to retain a more consistent streaming schedule and release for videos. The fact of the matter is, the health issues I mentioned earlier make streaming multiple times a week sometimes really difficult, especially when I don't have the 14 raid night streams like I've had in the past, which result in periods where if I just don't feel good, I just can't stream at all. The other issue is that it takes me a really long time to get videos out. It just does. And despite my limited editing skills, even what little editing I do seems like it takes too long for me to do. So I don't know if there's some issue I'm having there or if I'm just not doing it in an efficient way, but I'm assuming that all that stuff will come in time, but that's kind of what I'd like to see happen as well. I'd like to get to the point where I have the 2 raid streams as well as 2 variety streams each week. So that'd be 4 days each week is kind of what I'm looking at right now, but we'll have to kind of see as I go into this year. I'm going to try to address some of the health issues and things like that to see if that helps me be able to do that. I've already touched on this sort of already, but I want to continue to improve my editing quality for both clips and videos. Though I've improved a little bit, I know there's a lot of stuff I still don't know how to do. And it takes me too long to do even things that probably shouldn't be so difficult. But I'll continue to work on that, and that's kind of one thing I'd like to do eventually. And then finally, a move towards an eventual 2.0 model development. Now, this is a long-term goal, and I'm not really sure that this is something that'll be accomplishable in 2026 or not, and we're going to have to kind of see on that. As some people may be aware, this model I'm using right now is kind of on the lower end. I got both the custom model and the rigging for about $800. And though there's nothing particularly wrong with my model, there's only so much that can be done for $800. So eventually, though I haven't reached the upper limit of what I think this model can do yet, there will be a point where I feel like I'll eventually hit an issue that I can't resolve through just simply modifying settings or things like that. And unfortunately, I don't know enough about rigging, and I can't draw myself, so it's not really stuff I can do on my own. So it's going to be more of something where I'm going to have to hire some people to help me make the assets and do all that stuff that is needed in order for that to happen. And since that would be a multi-$1,000 project just for the model and rigging alone, and that doesn't add in the other things I would have to change as well, because I would have to start updating other assets, such as especially if I drastically change the design, would mean I would have to change all my art, all my avatars I use, all the stuff related to Dragin would have to completely change. Which means we're looking at a huge investment. So what that will look like, I can't really say right now, and right now I'm in the early drafting phase where I'm more or less considering ideas unless anything definitive. We have to kind of see how the first half of the year goes to see if I can improve on some of these other aspects over here before I assume that I'm ready to dump, $5,000+ into some giant revamp of my channel. I might want to make sure that I can actually sustain this long term first before I do anything that crazy. But that's kind of what I want to do there. But to kind of give you an idea of what I'm looking at on the 2.0 model, I do have a little thing I do want to show real quick here. This is just a draft page that I have that I've been keeping. This draft page is just basically a place where I throw notes for things as stuff comes up, and I have ideas on some other things. This includes historical stuff about Dragin, his appearance, the references that I use for his appearance, and some other stuff that I may need to use as I move forward. The first thing I would need to do is complete the redesign as a whole. In other words, I would need to decide on what he's going to look like and what he is, and also, set up like a standard appearance, like a character sheet or something like that can then be used for model design, basically to take out the need for the modelers and things like that to have to draw and redesign the whole thing from scratch. So that's kind of the direction I want to go with it. So let's look this over real quick just to kind of give you an idea here. So as some people may know from other things I've said in the past, Dragon Hikari is a character I created back during my teenage years. So it's been about 15 or 16, and I'm 40 now, so that puts me in around the realm of, so it makes a Dragon about 25-ish years old as a design concept. And the images you see here are the pre-VTuber character designs. These were all created by an artist named Pharrell, who I used to play Final Fantasy XI and Final Fantasy XIV with, and she was the first one to draw Dragon's design down into the form that you see here. Dragon's design was originally based heavily on a outfit from a game called Phantasy Star Universe, which was a kind of a pseudo sequel to Phantasy Star Online that was in existence between 2006 and 2012. The game no longer exists, but this outfit that Dragon has is based on an alternate version of this outfit, as well as pants that also came from this design. So this design is very old by now. It's, for lack of a better word, it's a very old design, and this design was used almost point for point in the VTuber design that would eventually end up being used. Now, the irony about both of these designs is neither this pre-VTuber design nor the 1.0 is 100% how I imagine Dragon to be. And the main reason for this is the situations that created these images in the first place. These designs were both commissions for relatively low cost. that didn't have a lot of room for a lot of heavy modification, a lot of changes to them as they were being developed. That's kind of the downside when you play a lower price for commissions and things of that nature, is you do have an issue where you can only ask an artist to do so much and change so much at certain points in a project like this. So I've never been able to sit down with somebody and actually work out the details to the degree that I would like them to be. A good example of this is if you look at both of these designs here, Dragin has really, really long legs. Really, really long legs. Now, Dragin's actual build, and this is something I have in my own life as well, is that Dragin is supposed to be tall in his torso, not so much his legs. So that creates a different body shape than, you know, what would normally take place. And both of these artists kind of approach this issue in kind of two different ways. Pharrell kind of just shadowed the inside of the outfit to kind of avoid insinuating where Dragin's legs sort of began and ended there. In the VTuber model, they just made his legs really, really long. Now, of course, it hasn't mattered too much because the rigging on the legs and the arms, from what I understand, hasn't been working since I got the model, so I've never used it for anything. But I would like to kind of have it a little bit more accurate for what I'd like to do. And in addition, the model didn't include a lot of the symbols, emblems, or other aspects of Dragin, which are not apparent directly on his original outfit. And these symbols are all just kind of, these aren't the actual ones, these are things I just threw together in my head as I was going along. And I'd probably change the designs drastically if I was going to use any of these for stuff. But Dragin doesn't have much on his design compared to a lot of VTubers that add a lot of badges or accessories or other things to his design. And that's kind of the other thing about the design as a whole is, as I said, this design is very old, meaning that I kind of base this on a different set of situations that I would like to do in the future, especially if I continue to proceed with my plans on the VTuber end of things. One aspect I'm considering here is a complete redesign of the outfit itself, or at least a partial redesign in the sense. Like, this is what I have right here. This is an outfit for Final Fantasy XIV's recent release. It's the striking armor from the Arcadian Heavyweight Division raid tier. Now, what I'm kind of thinking of right now is having something like this where there's a kind of a middle component here in the center, and then the kind of cloak cape type thing that Dragin has kind of coming off like this instead. But instead of this kind of overly technical design, I would imagine it would fit closer to the color scheme I have on this outfit with some alterations. But that's kind of the direction I'm thinking of for that. Now, as I said, this is so far long term that I don't know if it will even be anything like this by the time I get to that point. But that's just kind of what's been running through my head recently as I thought about it. Those are my accomplishments and goals for 2025, and I just want to say thank you for taking any time you have to watch my content, view my videos, anything like that. I know that coming into the streaming space, there are a lot of people you could spend your time watching or observing that have a lot more going for them than I do. So I do appreciate whatever time you do give me, whatever that happens to be. But before we end up this recap, there is one other thing that I want to do here. In my review, I did pull the clips from YouTube. But yeah, I pulled the clips from YouTube of the top 10 most viewed clips on my channel. Now, I didn't get a huge amount of views. most of my views from this video had videos that ranged from the highest of about 1.6K to around 950, which not high numbers by any sense, but it's definitely more than I get on other platforms. I did pull the ones from Twitch, but the problem with the ones from Twitch is that I only get like double-digit views on those, so it's hard to gauge if those are actually popular or if they just happen to pull up on somebody's feed because there's simply too few of them, or if they're just people from my raid group viewing them specifically. So I'm probably not going to play those, but I will play the ones from YouTube and just talk a little bit about those. And then once we conclude that, we'll go ahead and move towards the actual game for tonight. So let's go ahead and let me grab that video real quick here. I'm sorry. Let's start over here. Yeah, this was the mobile intro I was talking about before. I won't repeat myself on that.
Yeah, but the third time is random, so...
M8 was one. I was sad that we weren't able to clear this fight, but we just ran into too many scheduling issues.
If it's gonna cross every time, then just make up something.
That's what I do.
I like to pretend Kanon knows where he is more than I do.
That's giving me too much credit.
Putting too much faith in you.
There me.
This is
Yes,
just
it
one of
is.
this is just one of those fights where nothing ever stops, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Harry, do you remember what he does in normal mode?
Yes, unfortunately. I was just hoping that it was a little illusion.
It wasn't.
Oh, what? What? That's a lie.
Fine.
No, stop fight.
You want to be dead instead? Because I can fix that.
Ow.
Totally an option. Absolutely an option.
I feel like if you can get really close to circle AoE, then you're pretty much safe.
Probably.
That's my understanding of it.
Yeah, well,
Like,
we'll see.
if you're
Yeah,
really
I
close to
think
a circle AoE, I think, and just like not step your toes on it, I think you'll be safe.
You make it sound so easy.
Look, my policy is I just keep failing till I stop.
Fair enough.
Just keep going.
That's how I learned to tag. I just keep failing until I stop failing.
Yeah, he's talking about the AoE that he does when he jumps back and hits a huge circle around him. Because of the way that arena is set up, it is really hard for me to gauge where the correct standing spot was. But I think even by the time we stopped doing the fight, I don't think I still had a very clear understanding how to gauge it. I just sought to sort of just keep feeling it out. And it turned into exactly as I said. I just kept failing at it till I stopped failing, where I got to a point where I could guess well enough where it didn't matter anymore.
Stop giving me
You don't want it?
No, I don't want it. I'm not your garbage bin. Stop trading me random junk.
It's a gem sound.
Don't need any more gems, Leave me alone.
Maya's always doing this kind of thing. She's either trading me random junk from her inventory, or she's having me repair her items one at a time. I don't know why she does this other than to annoy me. Mostly because she knows it does. So that's probably my fault.
Stop trying to hand me your garbage.
Damn, why are you
Mr.
so
No
mean?
fun over here.
Why are you so mean? Who hurt you? Who hurt you?
That is a long list that I'm not going to get into here.
understandable.
Damn
It's
it,
probably
stop.
like 5 years of like laundry lists like written down, you know? Like, I don't know. I've only been here for 3
I have
months.
40 years of nonsense I could go over if I wanted to, but I'm not gonna do it.
No thanks, bro. I'm good.
To be 100% honest about this clip, I have not had 40 years of nonsense. That was definitely an exaggeration on my part. More like 35 years. Anyway,
Human centipede, let's go!
Gross. Actually,
Was-
disgusting.
Why that reference of all thing?
I have never seen the human centipede and probably never will. But I know enough about it, know that I wasn't going to start Googling images to put into a video for that. Are you crazy? I got banned on YouTube and Twitch, so YouTube and TikTok so quickly I won't be able to post anything ever again. And I don't do real great with that type of horror anyway, so it's like, well, we're going to skip that.
What sacred song back there?
Let's begin, shall we?
Oh, what sacred song back?
Let's hit the damn button.
Oh, we was going fine last time, so okay, you don't need it.
Oh, God damn it, my.
Well, you know.
Fire.
I swear that's turning into my catchphrase. I still can't believe I made this. I should have died there.
Pulled that off.
I should not have been able to survive that. Okay, so a little bit of context for that one. The Perfect Alexander meme is an old 14 meme where there's basically this gift of, you know, the best antagonists of Final Fantasy 14 for every year. And they used the Perfect Alexander image, which was part of T, which was the ultimate for the Alexander raid specifically, the most difficult content in 14. And for some reason, Athene, who you've seen throughout my videos and is actually a VTuber as well, is actually currently working on a redesign of her own to start back up again. Anyway, anytime the word T was mentioned, she would bring up this image, and it just kind of became an in-joke on the Discord for our raid group. So I just grabbed it, added the Alexander music on top of it, and turned it into a point emote for people to spam. The funny thing is, though, after creating it and putting it on the board, nobody was really using it. So I had completely forgotten the thing was even there. So when I was in the middle of the Dragon Quest playthrough, somebody in the chat started playing it multiple times in a row, and the thing is, because it had been used so little, I just had completely forgotten I had said it and that I had put no restriction on it.
Reminds me of the fact that every time I look at my Steam library, I unfortunately have to see hentai games that aren't mine, but because I share a library with Son and because he had friends that gifted him hentai games once for his birthday, they're just kind of there.
I remember seeing like a comic or something on Twitter one day about something like that's like, log into Steam.
Your friend is playing a hentai game. That last clip was the highest ranking one on YouTube this year. And it got 1.6K views, which exceeded probably any other clip by at least 300 views. I don't know exactly why, if it was just because it mentioned Steam specifically or if there was another reason. It also got the most comments out of anyone I posted. Mostly people tell me I didn't understand how Steam works, but that wasn't really the point of the clip. But yeah, the whole thing was a reference to some like internet, you know, comic you'd find on Twitter or something like that. Just because of the funny nature of how hentai games and how Steam has a tendency to scream out what your friends are playing while you're on it. But that's kind of what that was. But yeah, I'm going to put that live on YouTube alongside this stuff when it goes live. I will probably put the top 10 on Twitch as well. I'm just not going to do it here. One, because it's not censored. Like the ones on YouTube are, and I don't know what I can get away with on YouTube yet, so I'm trying to be a little bit more careful with that. But with that being said, that's it for this. I do once again thank you for the time you've given me this year, and I look forward to continuing to move forward this year. Hopefully to see even more we can do.